Well, new struggles for the Obama administration this weekend as it tried to answer questions on the terror attack in Benghazi and whether the administration changed the talking points on what happened there in order to protect the president during a re-election campaign. Remember this from the Secretary of State?
The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make? It is our job to figure out what happened and do everything we can to prevent it from ever happening again.
That was almost 4 months ago. But that message is back again, as White House senior advisor Dan Pfeiffer saying just yesterday, it doesn't matter who changed the talking points they told us the White House and the State Department barely touched. Now he says that is entirely irrelevant.
And I mean this is no disrespect to you. Why are you here today? Why isn't the White House Chief of Staff here to tell us what happened?
And the question isn't who edited what talking points. That's largely irrelevant. What is relevant is what are we going to do to make sure that never happens again, which is why the President's calling on Congress to pass legislation to beef up embassy security around the world and protect our diplomats who, by the definition of their jobs, are existing in an environment of risk.
Ambassador John Bolton is a former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, and he used to hold the job that Susan Rice held when she went out on all those Sunday talk shows and said one thing. And then we were told, okay, there have been talking points, and the State Department and the White House, they didn't touch them. They changed one word. That is what Jay Carney said. One word from consulate to diplomatic post or facility. That's it. And now we know that was entirely false. That's just not right. And now the message is, it's largely irrelevant. It is irrelevant. And we sort of heard a similar message from Hillary Clinton in January. What difference does it make?
Yeah, I think this fellow Pfeiffer must have learned the word irrelevant the day before and decided to take it out on a test drive on the Sunday morning shows. You know, where the president was the night of September the 11th was irrelevant. Breaking the law at the IRS is irrelevant. The fact is that the talking points are important in and of themselves and as an example of the larger effort by the administration to divert attention from what actually happened in Benghazi. The whole Mohammed video approach that went for 2 weeks after the attack, up to and including the president speaking to the United Nations General Assembly and emphasizing the video. So the talking points, I think, are an episode that is important because it was the first time that the Sunday talk shows got this particular version. And look, anybody who's ever been in an administration knows that the decision, who represents the administration on the Sunday talk shows, what their subjects are controlled by the White House. So the decision to send Susan Rice to all 5 of them, just like sending this fella, this flack yesterday to all 5 of them, was something the White House decided. They clearly decided the talking points. That's their approach. They don't answer questions. They just give out talking points. And that was a critical line of defense in their effort to divert the story from what actually happened.
But what they may forget, or the public may even forget, I don't think our viewers forget this, but is the way this unfolded. They told us that it was all about a video, right? That's what they said, a spontaneous attack. It was about a video, a hateful video that we had nothing to do with. And then we started reporting, Fox News, I mean, I was on the air. I remember Catherine Herridge coming on. You were there one day and reacted live to it. That there were no demonstrations outside of Benghazi on 9/11 of 12 when the attack took place, that there were no demonstrations. And since then, we've been asking, why did they say there were demonstrations and why did they link this to a video? Well, now, after Fox News keeps pushing for months and months and months and was mocked, there's no there. Well, there is something there. They released the talking points. And the talking points do say spontaneous protests. First they say this was a spontaneous attack. It was changed to protest. That came from the CIA. In the wake of what we saw happen at Embassy Cairo, which may or may not have been based in part on the video. Okay, so that piece of it was answered. But none of that was disclosed by the administration on its own accord. They didn't come out and say, let us update you because the initial information was out. We had to push every step of the way for them to give us an inch. And then we were told by Jay Carney, in terms of changing the narrative and removing the terror references and so on, we had nothing to do with it. The White House didn't change a talking point other than consulate. The State Department didn't change a talking point other than consulate to diplomatic post. And so that's why we care, because as news people and as Americans, when we feel like we're being misled, it starts to smell bad. And then we push further. We push further, and we push further. We want answers.
Yeah. Well, even Secretary Clinton in the clip you showed said, what difference does it make if it was a demonstration or a couple guys out for a stroll? That it was neither one of those two things. It was a planned attack on a visible American target that sadly succeeded. And that's what difference it makes even to this day. If you think that the cause was something that was not the cause, i.e. the Mohammed video, you're not going to be able to protect Americans against what the real cause was, which is that international terrorism is alive and well in Benghazi, in Libya, in the Middle East generally. And that's what they don't want to admit, because it flies in the face of their worldview that the war on terror is over.
And does it go hand in hand with the AP investigation we're seeing? Because the Department of Justice targets the Associated Press in the wake of the AP issuing a report about a foiled terror attack, a terror plot. And the reason the AP says they think the White House took interest in this is because the White House at the time, it was the one-year anniversary of the killing of UBL, was telling the world, there's no more al-Qaeda chatter, that's kind of over. Don't worry, you know, we've got things under control. And then the AP uncovers evidence that not only is there chatter, but there was an attack planned, another underwear bomb that the CIA did foil, but it was underway. And they believe that the White House was trying to tamp down that narrative, too.
Right. Well, the Washington Post reports over the weekend that the real reason they wanted to hold up the AP story was so the administration could take credit for a successful counterterrorism effort. You know, here's an assignment for reporters. The White House says we have prosecuted twice as many national security leaks as all prior administrations combined. I think somebody ought to get their list of prosecutions and put it out on a chart what the prosecutions were for. And I bet it will show leaks that were detrimental to the administration politically, as opposed to which prosecutions have they undertaken for leaks that made the administration look good. All of the constant briefing to mainstream press like the New York Times and the Washington Post to take credit, for example, for the killing of Osama bin Laden. Those were leaks, those were deliberate. Nobody prosecuted there. Let's see who they actually prosecuted and why.
Before I let you go, Dan Pfeiffer also says that Republicans who criticized Ambassador Rice now owe her an apology for accusing her of misleading the country. Your thoughts?
I think President Obama owes us an apology for putting somebody on television after 4 Americans who had no responsibility for it and who obviously didn't know the basic facts. I think Hillary Clinton should have been out there that Sunday. Every Secretary of State I've ever worked for, all 6 of them, would have been there to explain the administration position. Where was Hillary Clinton? What was her problem?
Ambassador Bolton, thanks for being here.
Thank you.